Hello, good morning. Stinson McElhinney here with Solar Turbines. I do have some slides, so we'll change up the format here.
You want the,
Awesome.
you got it?
We have a clicker. All right, who, raise of hands, is familiar with industrial gas turbine engines? All right, okay, there we go. So we have a little bit, so this won't all be sort of strange and nonsense. Solar Turbines is a subsidiary of Caterpillar. We've been a subsidiary since 1981, and I'm representing Solar Digital, which is really the customer-facing and commercial technology organization that has been set aside and integrated to bring this concept of digital transformation, remote monitoring to our customer environments. And so we've some of these things that folks are talking about in terms of integrated organizations is something that we've actually done within our organization to bring all the right expertise together. So we actually forked what we had as our traditional IT organization. We let them focus on the applications and systems and use cases to support employees. And Solar Digital has moved on to focus on the application systems and use cases that support customers. And so within that organization, we have folks that have a business expertise and turbo machinery expertise and have worked in the field and turned wrenches on turbines and have sat within customer environments and have been on choppers and platforms. And we also have software engineers and network engineers and cybersecurity specialists all working together and sitting together and making sure that we have that integrated focus with a use case or an outcome that we're going after. So we make large industrial, despite the name Solar, the company was around since the 20s, and before solar was trending and used in the context it is today. But we make large industrial gas-powered turbine engines, and the markets we primarily serve today are oil and gas markets and what we call power generation markets, gas transmission, but power gen can be factories, hospitals, airports, et cetera. And we sell all over the world, so we have an installed base in over 100 countries and a global presence with about 8,000 employees. So that's kind of what solar is. Over there on the left, for those who aren't familiar with a gas turbine, those are different versions of gas turbine packages. And the company is a traditional iron company, but really, in order to help customers succeed with those turbine packages, we've integrated technology as part of the package and as part of their processes, and it's all about helping customers be successful with these engines. Otherwise, they're just an expensive paperweight. And the way that we deliver digital solutions, and let's call it this transformation, to continue just to kick the horse around this buzzword, is we deliver a technology platform called Insight Platform. And this is really how we enable service delivery. And so everything that we do to support the customer experience is really delivered through Insight Platform. This is an aggregation of remote monitoring and different resolutions of data sets, part of a remote monitoring effort. But we incorporate traditional business aspects as well, whether it's dealing with service bulletins or technical documents or just looking at engines overhaul cycles and making sure that it's all integrated so that there's a kind of a complete service experience when it comes to dealing with turbo machinery. That's all built on a foundation of connectivity, because with machine data, there's incredible power and opportunity. And so we have let's say a parallel product called Insight Connect that we then use to feed Insight Platform and connect to the assets at the sites. I liked really what Ricky had mentioned in terms of the business value. So this is, for us, we really think of this as like an optimization equation. It's not just security or just capabilities, but it all starts with customer value, or in the way he phrased it, business value, or the way Sid phrased it is use cases. Very focused on customer value and working with customers to optimize the equation. And so there's just this balance between what capabilities you can deliver at scale in a secure way to deliver that value. And so I want to go through a few examples of things that we consider to be, important capabilities, how we scale those, and then well, a few elements of customer value, some of the capabilities, how we scale those, and then sort of finish with save the best for last in terms of the security aspects. So the way that customers generally perceive value when it comes to turbine machinery has a lot to do with reliability and uptime, and essentially managing unplanned downtime. Unplanned downtime means they can't produce, and so the majority of the focus is really around reliability and uptime. There's a few other elements around like extending overhaul cycles and allowing equipment to run longer, which ultimately actually helps with cost of ownership. And so we'll focus a little bit on the first two. So the art of the possible, really, when you get this right, is that you can achieve 99% availability for a gas turbine in the oil and gas industry. So those familiar with turbines or familiar with that industry, this is a pretty exceptional number considering everything that goes into making that equipment available. But we've taken the top 10th percentile of best in class, and so for oil and gas, you can achieve, when you do this right, 99%. And Ricky can speak better to this, but every percent or 0.5% of availability in that industry is big money, and so you're really going after every little bit that you can get after. From a gas transmission, it gets better, and for power gen, it still beats that number. So that is sort of the art of the possible once achievable. And this is real data from our global fleet. That also translates into 2019. We had confirmed 180,000 hours of avoided downtime across our fleet. So we have a screenshot here of Insight Platform, and over there on the left-hand side, you've got our availability and reliability. So this is a global fleet. This is I think 2,577 units. And so for 1 year availability, reliability, we've got almost 99% reliability, 96% availability. As you saw, top 10th percentile will achieve 99%. And we also look at how we capture value cases, how we manage service bulletins, how we deal with alerts, engines that we extend overhaul on, and the various diagnostics and analytics that are run daily. But this is bringing forth what's important to customers, the value equation. We got to make sure that we're delivering the value, and then making sure that the capabilities, the scalability, and the security aspects really support the delivery of that value. But for oil and gas customers, it's a compelling case to get to 99% or to avoid 180 hours of unplanned downtime. That's a very compelling value statement. And so there's got to be some risk that's being taken in order to achieve that, because as we all know, zero risk does not exist, right? From a scale perspective, so 2,577 packages as of Sunday night, connected across 70 different countries, and with over 3,000 customers that are accessing this. So a few things that were alluded to here, and I just wanted to further highlight that the sites where that we deploy oil and gas turbines, in many cases have been there for more than 20 to 30 years. And so they have very different levels of maturity, and they're all over the world in different operating environments. Some are offshore platforms, Nigeria, or different parts of Africa. There's floating production vessels. Some of them are like in downtown San Diego, where we live at a naval hospital. And so very, very different operating conditions, different levels of maturity across all these sites. And even within the same customer environment, while emerging, let's say, standards are coming about, that customer may have different levels of maturity site to site to site and different implementation levels. And so one of the things is having to be very grounded in pragmatism and being able to actually deliver a solution that works. And to do that, some of it, what we have today is just, it's not fancy, it's very basic, but we're willing to work with our customers as they evolve and make sure that we got solutions that support that. From a capabilities perspective, what does this sort of allow us to do? Well, the term digital twin was referenced, but we've got real life examples where we have physics-based models that will actually collect field data from the solution and run that field data against these models and end up producing remaining useful life calculations in semi-real time back into the condition monitoring platform. And so powerful stuff to be able to figure out whether a component is reaching its end of life or not and be able to take action based on that. Things like vibration, if you know turbines, you know that vibration is one of the very important aspects. So we've recently rolled out a vibration product built off secure connectivity architecture that allows us to bring back high resolution data, high sample data into our condition monitoring platform. All this stuff's web-based, so it's very easy to serve up via these tablets, initial devices. And so lastly, we take that and then we go beyond just a turbine and we start looking at full facilities for particular customers that want to evolve those use cases and help grow beyond the scope of just a solar turbine. And so looking at an entire facility, leveraging the same type of technology and platforms. So these are all capabilities that are sort of balanced in that equation of value and scalability and security. And then saving the best for last here, there is no silver bullet in how this has been achieved. It's really a combination of many, many things in order to get it done. And just sort of walking around this circle just a little bit, we've worked with external organizations and then ultimately implemented things internally in terms of developing like a secure software development lifecycle and making sure that as part of writing code and deploying code, we're baking in security from the beginning. We're doing some additional third-party partnerships, kind of ties into the next one where we're actually looking at like the secure chain of trust and third-party validation of different pieces of software that ends up getting deployed into site and being able to look at risk scores around that. We partner very much not only with organizations like ARC, it's my first time here, happy to be here. We've worked with organizations like Logic, and which is linking the oil and gas industry. I think it's in industrial cybersecurity. There's a European organization called WIB. We also work very closely with our customers in terms of their standards, how they evolve, and how we can support that. We look at and reference industry standards such as the ISA and IEC, standards that everybody's familiar with. But as Sid had mentioned, things are evolving, right? So we got to be part of that evolution. And so it's great to see them there, but also looking forward to sort of what's going to change in that space. Other aspects for our use case and our customers' use case, we're not doing remote operations. We're doing guaranteeing read-only solutions. So what mechanisms can we put in place? Both patterns, designs, people process element, plus additional technology like application firewalls, so that you're working at different levels. Traditional firewalls working at lower levels of the OSI model, and then application firewalls working at the higher levels of the OSI model to differentiate read from write commands. And so implementing specific technology for that. And then subjecting ourselves to third-party security assessments. And so we've done that as part of Logic. We subjected ourselves to some attack and pen tests on our mobile app. We've also gone through, driven by customers who've wanted to do third-party assessments, and we've supported those. And now we sort of have an ongoing cadence of testing different components, different architecture aspects, and different aspects of the application to make sure that we're decreasing that risk as much as possible. It's not zero risk, but it's decreased as much as possible. And similar to what we just talked about in terms of a dedicated team, I think that's been a common theme. These organizations, whether it's IT or InfoSec, which often sits, sometimes outside of IT even, and then the OT world's bringing those together. So within digital, we've really had to collapse and consolidate everybody into the same organization so that you're all rowing in the same direction from the same perspective, going after the same thing. And it's very interesting working in customer environments where sometimes we're introducing people that are from the same customer environment that sit in the IT organization and the OT organization. They've never met. They don't know who each other are. And so we're the conduit to help them, meet each other, which is very bizarre. And then finally, we take a lot of pride in a purpose-built solution, and so we pretty much control the entire stack from data acquisition all the way through what we produce on the web. We've built out our own, private networks and have network operating centers that we aggregate global data through, and really that allows us to really control everything that part of that process and engineer it towards a use case and with security in mind at every spot. So, with that, thank you for the opportunity. Look forward to the discussion, and I'll pass this on to my colleague.